Hello everyone and welcome to our special segment, CIIE Economic Forum, Share Chinese Opportunities, Working Together for Modernization. We're coming to you from our studio on the Bund in Shanghai. And today on our special program, I have Bill Wang Teka, Group President, Greater China, Roy Vandenherk, Moog New Zealand Dairy Limited CEO. They join me here in the studio. And Zhao Zhongxiu, President from the University of International Business and Economics, Andy Mok, Senior Research Fellow at the Center for China and Globalization. I'm Zhong Shi. Thank you so much for joining us today. And gentlemen, let's start with you here in the studio. Something tells me, Bill and Roy, you would feel a little differently about the CIIE because Roy really is the veteran here. New Zealand is very proud of its full attendance at all 6 CIIE editions. And with Bill here, it's Teka's second year. I mean, you're also a returning exhibitor. So, Roy, let me start with you. How does it feel to have participated in all 6 editions of the CIIE, and what stood out for you this year?
We're very proud to have attended all 6, and to be honest, all 6 have been very different.
Have they?
The first year, you can say it was a guinea pig year. Everybody was taking a good estimate at what they had to do to present and how to do it. And we did, I thought, a very good job. But when you looked around at other people, you looked at how things could be a bit different. So the second year was a lot bigger and a lot better and a lot more dynamic. But in both of those years, they were very, very full of people. Then we hit the next 3 years, which were impacted by the pandemic. So even though our displays and the pavilion they got better every single year, the number of participants was lower, but the quality was still there, and that was very important. And then we come to this year where suddenly we're open up again, and there are a lot of foreign people here today. There are a lot more of the public here, and every buyer is here. So they've been very, very different.
And I think you do get the vibe this year that because it's being held offline for the first time since the pandemic,
Yes.
there's a lot of presence of not just businesses, but also visitors, exhibitors, and government people all testing the water and testing just the relations between a particular country and China. Bill, coming to you now, what were some of the factors that you took into consideration into coming back this year? I mean, how did last year turn out for Teka, and what drove you to be a returning exhibitor this year?
Yeah, thank you. Compared with the master and the royal, we are the newcomer. And actually, we are the first time as an independent exhibitor for this year. Last year, we participated at the German Chamber. So one of the reasons to drive us back is about the economic recovery, not only on the consumer side, because our business is mainly focused on the real estate sectors. So if you look last year, we only have like 30 plus square meters, and this year we almost 10 times bigger than our first time come. And as you mentioned, it's a lot of participate. So this year we had a very good, to be China in China strategy. So we work with the Ministry of Housing. We had a white paper mainly focused on this kitchen, especially on the healthy and the decarbonization kitchen. This is something especially after the pandemic sector. And there's a lot of German companies like us, as people may know, hidden champion. So we are one of the hidden champion to come. We are the inventor of the oven. So we come here not only for
You don't want to be hidden anymore.
Yeah, we don't want to be hidden anymore. Exactly. That's why we want our to-be customer to know, and also for the consumers, especially for upgrading tier 1, tier 2, even the tier 3 cities. It's a lot of emerging consumers. So we want to introduce this new and good product to the Chinese consumers. Yeah.
I mean, it's not just products you brought to the CIIE this time. You brought products, you brought solutions, all electric kitchen.
Yep.
You brought scenarios for the Chinese market. So let me just follow up on your take on the Chinese market based on your communication with your fellow exhibitors this time in Shanghai, and also how does that understanding of the Chinese market fit into your strategy next in China, for China? And you're about to mark 100 years since the founding of TECA in 2024. So how does all of that fit together with your understanding of the Chinese market?
Oh, this is an excellent question. As next year is our 100 years anniversary, so we want to have let's say the newborn of TECA, but that will be in China, which means we first born in the first industrial revolution. And now it's the fourth revolution. It's not only about the product itself, it's about the connectivity, it's about the health, it's about the green product. And in any perspective, I think China lead in all ways. So what TECA can bring, or our German fellows can bring, is we especially at this age when we have the global warmings, decarbonization, we have some know-how. But we also need to work with Chinese partners to know what exactly Chinese have, because in China we have a lot of condominium. It's not only just a single house. It's a very different scenario. So we need to be here to bring some know-how, but very work closely with the Chinese partners, with the Chinese stakeholders to have our TECA China solution.
So Andy, more than 3,400 exhibitors from 154 countries participated in this year's CIIE as the popularity of the event returns to pre-pandemic levels. The United States has sent its highest level delegation to this year's expo. What does this move signify?
Well, I think this year's CIIE represents significant progress. It's not only a rebound from the COVID years, but I think it also represents China's continued economic and technological development. So we see representatives from the US government, but more importantly, I think a record number of Fortune 500 and SMEs participating as well, because I think they see not only the market opportunity, but the importance of being in touch with a market that is increasingly leading in innovation and technology as well. I think CIIE provides an important platform in a number of ways. So first of all, of course, it's incredibly efficient to meet a number of potential business partners in one physical place. And this allows not only for efficient meetings, but also serendipity as well, because a lot of times you can bump into, accidentally meet someone that can be a very valuable business contact or relationship. So I think that's one thing. I think the other is just being on the ground in China makes an enormous difference. It's one thing to read about China or even to watch news segments, and these are valuable, but it complements being on the ground where you can see for yourself, hear for yourself, and experience really many of the exciting things going on in China today. So I think those are the main benefits, I think, of the CIIE platform.
Mr. Zhao, what about you? What kind of platform does the CIIE provide to foreign companies at this point?
Well, the CIIE creates a big platform for international business to come to China, meet their business partners, and to drop the deals and also seek the opportunities for Chinese market is offered. And according to the estimation, that over $350 billion will be achieved. So that's the vast market for the world. So this is really, Chinese openness to provide opportunities for the world. So I think, nobody can ignore this market. And so even in the United States, they sent the highest delegation to visit. A lot of those, companies, they said their groups come to China and they open more exhibition.
Mr. Zhao, the economy continues to show fragility as tensions and conflicts across the globe rise. What does the CIIE and the recent Belt and Road Forum say about China's economic strategy? How will China's further opening bring more opportunities to other countries?
Well, for the past few years, the world suffered from this decoupling, trade intention, whatever. So, and also, of course, the pandemic has this huge influence on the global economy. Well, for China, we provide this big opportunities, and with 1.4 billion people and the largest, the market. So the business partner, they see this not just only the potential, but it's a real the market. So when the first time for the over 400,000 exhibitors come to China, and more than 3,400 in enterprises come to China, and they show their products and sign the deals with the Chinese importers, the partners, and also they seek the opportunities to work together to develop the new generation products, and for both for the Chinese market and the world. And this platform for the policy briefing and to better understand the Chinese, the market, the consumer behavior, and the business environment. So this really, provide this opportunity for the stability of the global economy.
Andy, the CIIE has enabled China to share the opportunities with the world. At the same time, what has China gained by opening up and strengthening its imports?
Well, we know that the Chinese economic miracle initially was based on infrastructure investment and exports. But as the Chinese economy has matured, emphasizing consumption is also very important. So I think what China gets from CIIE is the opportunity to bring in a broad variety of high quality goods and services as well for the Chinese consumer. So in this way, it of course presents business opportunities for global corporations to mom and pop businesses around the world, but it also gives Chinese consumers much greater choice, much greater exposure to all the world has to offer.
Roy, Milk New Zealand has been in China a long time, longer than Teika, I would probably say
we have been,
yes.
We basically started when the Belt and Road policy started, which was 10 years ago. Yes, and so that was good in terms of opening up the economy. And then with CIIE, which was just for foreign importers, it was an ideal place to be.
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the Belt and Road Initiative. You released a white paper, as a matter of fact, on your company and the Belt and Road Initiative. Can you, share with us also how you felt that New Zealand has grown together with the Belt and Road Initiative?
We've absolutely grown, because when we started, we were basically an unknown foreign brand. And there was a point there just when we're coming into the pandemic area where we were the actual #1 imported brand in our niche, which was really in retail UHT milk and other dairy products. So we've grown considerably. And in fact, even from a New Zealand perspective, in that retail spot for single serve packs and everything, 1 in every 3 packs out of New Zealand was actually our own brand. So we've grown, but the whole New Zealand industry has grown as part of the Belt and Road and as part of the free trade agreement. And in fact, in the last few years, China is now New Zealand's #1 trading partner. If you'd look back 10 years ago, no one would have even thought it would get to that stage. It's really very good.
Bill, it's not too late for you. The Belt and Road Initiative is here to stay. I mean, after hearing what Roy said just now, you grow a company with opportunities presented by the time and with the help of government policies and with grand initiatives such as the Belt and Road Initiative. When you map out your strategy in China for the next 5-10 years after your 100th anniversary, what opportunities do you see that might potentially stem from the Belt and Road Initiative, for example, and from China's growth strategies, China's own blueprint, like the Belt and Road Initiative?
Well, I think lawyers got very lucky about this initiative, and we are just a newcomer. We also participate 2 months ago in Guangxi province when the Ministry of the Housing, they have the cooperation with the ASEAN 11 countries. So we be one of the chain leader. They have different verticals. We are the mainly vertical focusing on the kitchen. So we are the one of the ministry cooperation brand to provide the healthy and the decarbonization kitchen. And this really help us because we are some countries like Vietnam, like Pondonia, like Malaysia, we never touch. And this can help us not take to work in China mainland, but also help us on the exporting.
How important is the China market for Teika going, for example, the next 10 years? I mean, where does it rank in your global markets?
Well, we are currently, I think our #1 market is still Europe. And we are very strong in Spanish-speaking countries. We are actually #1 in Mexico, in South Africa. For China, we are newcomers. But this is a very good question. And in our internal meetings, we hope not only just a 10 years time, my target is 5 years time, we should be in the top 3 in the global ranking within Teika Group. Yeah.
I absolutely love it when you are spilling contents from your internal meetings. That certainly got our viewers very excited. Now, gentlemen, I want to move from your individual companies to maybe talk about the Chinese economy as a whole, because that makes an important background for you to talk about your business. How important are foreign businesses, are foreign investors in this time of economic recovery after the pandemic? Roy, let me begin with your observation first.
At the end of the day, trade is what I'd call the lifeblood of prosperity. So when you start looking at, okay, you've got a flat period in the trade, then with the Chinese government, the way it's opening up, the more foreign trade and the more investments and everything, everybody is going to be much better off. And it's just one of those facts of life. And at the moment, the world has been struggling with trade. The pandemic did dampen it. It upset the supply chains. It upset a lot of other things as well. So that is definitely going to improve by doing it. But I think it's going to require quite a lot of investment in terms of foreign companies. So a company like ours, we invest all the way through the process, right the way from the farms and everything, right the way to get through to China. Some companies in other industries are probably going to do more investment directly into China. So there's going to be a number of things like that. There was one part I was going to mention a little bit earlier because Bill alluded to it in terms of regulations. It's not only the Chinese national government that's got some regulation changes. We've had the benefit through CIIE of even the local Shanghai government in terms of some of our products, and they enabled us to fast track products through your customs and everything into here. So that meant short shelf life type products could now enter through. We were sending basically milk from farm to customer in 72 hours. So there's a lot of those sorts of things happening. So you've got foreign investment, you've got local regulations, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things which I haven't even mentioned that we could talk about. Bill,
in this recovery process, things are coming back slow. We're talking about disruptions in global supply chains. Roy talked about you have to have an investment, not just of capital, but also of confidence here. What is your reading on the confidence of foreign businesses for now to continue to do business in China in this economic recovery? What are some of their concerns and what stand as some of the challenges for them in their decision-making process about how fast I want to come back to the China market, about how fast I want to increase my investment in the China market?
Well, I want to take the question in another kind of angle to look at these things. So people always think the investment in China and as a FDI, but actually now the Chinese economics is being developing in the last 40 years, and we are now #2 in the GDP rankings. To be honest, our government, and especially Roy mentioned the local government, also will choose which one is a good industry, which one is a good company. We never, to be honest, China don't really need a lot of the money, but we need good money, good quality, good R&D.
High quality
opening up. So that's why I always persuade my colleagues back in Europe. So look, if we invest just 100, for example, R&D, then if you have to move your R&D, your lab, your know-how really to China, we found a lot of local government will come up to give you another 100 or even 200 RMB invest. It's a core investment. So I met during the CIIE this year a lot of local government from north even to south, even Hainan Free Trade Zone. Some company like us, you have a good heritage. You have very good quality, and China need upgrading the whole economic. That's something you can bring. So I would say, take this opportunity. It's a foreign company come to China. It's not only do the business, you also can gain the investment back from China as well.
Andy, the terms economic decoupling and trade protectionism and deglobalization have been on the rise in recent years. In your view, how should nations maintain healthy and sustainable trade and economic ties?
Well, I think this so-called decoupling and de-risking is not actually a global phenomenon. It's concocted by the United States and a dwindling handful of its allies. And this is really based on the assumption that unless the U.S. can maintain its technological leadership, bad things will happen. And I think the reality is that the world has changed. We are in a multipolar world, and these efforts at decoupling, de-risking are not only doomed to fail, but are self-destructive. So we only need to look at trade between China and ASEAN, trade with China and Russia, which I believe this year exceeds that of trade with Germany, that trade globalization, I think, is really robust all around the world, but countries, mainly the United States and a handful of other countries, are looking to fight this historical tide, and it's really not likely to work.
Mr. Zhao, can you shed light on the same topic?
Well, the purpose for this decoupling and the trade, the conflict, want to achieve its own goals, try to maintain the gap with China, or just to protect their own benefits, but at the cost of the global economy. Actually, we understand, and also we learn from the history that open create cooperation and wealth, while isolation, conflict, destroy. So, so many lessons learned from history. And even, from the textbook, we cannot do that way. But in reality, some countries, some Christians, they do that way. And this has the real harm to the world. But we can, on the other hand, we can see the resilience of the global economy, resilience of the global trade, and while there is some distortion, but the trend not changed, and the interdependence of global economy is still underway. So we need maintain our efforts to control this conflict and to support the global economy continue to grow.
Andy, what does the modernization of China's 1.4 billion people mean for the world?
Well, I think China's success in modernization, of course, has been transformational for the Chinese people. But it's also served as a source of inspiration and perhaps even parts of it for emulation around the world, whether that's Africa, whether that's other parts of Asia. So that's certainly one, I think, very important contribution. The other, of course, is that with 1.4 billion consumers, this is an enormous market for businesses around the world. And finally, with a strong, prosperous, and technologically advanced China, China is offering a number of new products that can address global challenges. Let's look at electric vehicles for one. So I think that China's success in modernization really offers a broad range of benefits to the world.
Andy, what do you think of the current state of global modernization? What are some of the challenges that global modernization faces at this point?
Well, modernization is happening very rapidly. We have to look at artificial intelligence, other technological developments. But there are enormous challenges as well, whether they are pandemics or how to deal with the risks of artificial intelligence. So it is very much a double-edged sword that presents both opportunities and challenges. Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is solving this or addressing this block mentality or this black and white mentality that it's us versus them, democracies versus authoritarian countries. And that if this mindset can be overcome, I think a lot of problems can be addressed more effectively.
China first held the Belt and Road Forum and now the CIIE. And there is, well, if you look closely, there's that link between the Belt and Road and the CIIE, because the CIIE can be seen as a continuation, an embodiment of what the Belt and Road is all about: increased connectivity, easier trade among countries. So I want to get your thoughts, Bill, starting with you, on what the Chinese president said, that China's modernization is not just for itself, it's for all developing countries, it's for the world, essentially. And with only a better world comes a better, stronger China. I mean, from the business perspective here, how do you look at these remarks?
Well, I think myself is a very good example of the China modernization journey. So I'm the 80s, right? Your generation 80s. So I born in Shanghai, studying in Shanghai, then I go abroad, studying in the UK, then come back to working for the multinationals. This is a whole, if you, very hard to imagine my parents' generation can have this kind of the modernization journey. And now we can work in different countries, in different companies. I think this is a very good for individual, and as a China, this is a very good, I think, learning curve. We also can export to other Belt and Road countries. So, for example, for those SEA countries or those Middle Eastern countries, if they can work with China, this practice, they can also benefit for their people as well. I think this is something is you never see in the human history with that size of the population, 1.4 billion in China, is now getting much better life quality. So I think this is something all the countries can learn from us.
Roy, as an outsider looking in, how does China's path to modernization look for you?
Oh, look, I believe China is going to end up with a much stronger economy. The sheer number of people here, just even if they all get up to, I don't know, say the average income of Europe or any place like that, the total economy is, what, probably double, 3 times or something like that. And I think all that trade is actually going to help the whole world anyway, because when you start looking at, I don't know, trade difficulties in any way, you know, you've got everything, I don't know, protectionism, you've got cultural, political differences, you've got, you know, wealth differences and all those sorts of things. They've been around forever and a day. So the more you open up the economy and more you increase the trade, more people understand people from different cultures and different places like that. And the whole place just gets better and better. And China has got a huge input into that, just partly because of the sheer size of the country. So I think that philosophy of trying to open up and trying to generate more trade with every country in the world has got a lot of flow-on effects. And trade is two-way, so it's not just Chinese people going to be better off. The whole world will be better off.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate both of your insight. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And my special thanks go out to all 4 of my guests today and to our viewers for watching. Thank you so much.